What up? What up? What up? It's your man, Mr. Controversy. Did you miss me? Yes, we are back inside the 3-point conversion sports lounge. Man, it's 2 weeks in a row, y'all. If y'all missed it, like I told y'all what happened while I was out. It was kind of traumatic and embarrassing, but either or, man, I'm back, man. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, y'all. We definitely got a lot to talk about. First off, I want to tell y'all what the show is going to be about, and the reason why I paused because we about to tell the truth and shame the devil on this show, y'all. Because you know, the name, the title I gave it, is he really good? And it goes for a lot of people. It's not one person we're talking about, So we are talking about, of course, Jamal Murray, and not even about him being good. Don't get into that, but the fact that this man is still playing. A lot of people question if he should be suspended. I'm gonna throw one more out there once we get to talking about it. And, I think something else should have came up, which didn't. I'll make a point about that. But we're gonna talk about him also, man. Anthony Edwards. We talked about him last week, but we saw what he's done since then. And is he really that good? Is he really this good? We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. Also, we're gonna talk about the Orlando Magic. We have Mr. Kyle Nash coming on talking about the Orlando Magic. He covers the Orlando Magic and represents the 3-point conversion. And we're gonna talk about their season and what to expect from them in the future. A lot of people didn't see this. I called it. Remember, I'm not the one to say I told you so, but I called it. I told you all. I said they're gonna finish at least fourth in the East. I think they finished fifth. But I was like, no, I said fifth. At least fifth. But I said that they were going to make it to the playoffs, and they almost got away with it, man, going to the second round. But that guy Donovan Mitchell, So, but either or, we're going to get into that. Also, we have Miss Arabia Tillery from All 32 NFL, who also represents the 3-point conversion as well. She covering the Washington Commanders, and she will be on to talk about the Commanders and what to look forward to with their future, the new head coach, Jayden Daniels, and so on. So even with the new management, so we're going to get into that. Also, we have Mr. Cortland Griffin coming on as well, talking about the Tennessee Titans. And I don't know if y'all notice, I'm being biased. These are all people who cover for the 3-point conversion. So we got to have them on, man. And, he covers the Titans for the 3-point conversion. We're going to definitely talk about the Titans, what to look for in that, for their future. To have the new coach with Callahan. Will Levis is starting the season for the first time as far as from game one. You got new wide receivers, Calvin Ridley. Is he going to bounce back, or should I say bounce back? I don't know. I mean, he did all right, but I guess we expect that for him being, off or whatever for a year. So, or being out, I should say, for a year. And then we are talking with Dr. Donald Fowler III. He's going to come in with the injury report. We're talking about all injuries in the NBA and MLB. And man, them LA Dodgers, y'all, look scary. It's almost like a cheat code. Maceo was on here last week and he said it was a cheat code, and it looked pretty scary, y'all. It looked pretty scary. But hey, man, let your family and friends know they can listen to the show. They can watch the show on the 3-point conversion Facebook page, also the 3-point conversion YouTube channel. If y'all in here, y'all could comment. I love to interact. We're gonna interact and have fun and everything, man. Tell me what you think. So, not necessarily quick hits, but I got a few things to talk about. First of all, which is crazy. So we've been following Shohei Ohtani, that situation where his interpreter has really been, they said Ohtani, I guess, came out and said it was him that was stealing. Now, what stealing the money? I think he stole over $17 million from Ohtani. Well, let me just read it before I get into what I think. But basically, the interpreter, I'm probably gonna butcher his name, y'all. So I don't know. It's IPPEI. She's gonna say that. I don't know how you pronounce that. Uh, Mazhara. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but anyway, we just gonna call him interpreter. He don't need his name don't even need to be mentioned. But he agreed to plead guilty to federal charges of felony of bank fraud and submitting a false tax return after authorities found out he stole $17 million of them things from Otani. Now, my thing is when we first heard everything come to light, and then Otani had another interpreter talking. I'm not gonna lie, if this interpreter stole from you, I mean, if Otani, I'm pretty sure he knows a little bit of English, but if he doesn't, then we know why how Otani got screwed. But then you have another interpreter. I don't even know what he was saying. I don't know if that what was Otani was saying, when the interpreter was talking, the new interpreter. Like, I don't know. Like, he could have been lying too. I don't know what to believe at this point. So was Otani on it or whatever? I don't know. I hope not. I don't think so. But hey, man, we got to get him to speak English, bro. He been in the United States for a minute. He been playing baseball for what 4 or 5 seasons here. Yeah, bro, you got to learn to speak some English, man. This is probably why you got robbed. So, but the fact that the interpreter agreed to plead guilty, so that's settled everything. Then this is crazy, y'all, and this is the end of my little quick hits. So I don't know if y'all heard or was following that Indianapolis columnist Greg Doyle. So he was covering the Indiana Fever, and he was a reporter, but he won't be anymore after a situation that happened when Caitlin Clark, she was there for her first introduction interview or press conference. Ninjas. This is what I call ninjas, and I don't. Of course, he wasn't black, but anyway, this ninja still. So you know how she does like the heart thing, right? She does a little heart, whatever. So, and apparently she does that for her family. Either or. So when it was his turn to ask a question, he came on, and first thing he did was he put the heart, little sign up, whatever. So she answered back. She was like, you like that, she's like, oh, you like that, right? Nothing smart, just like, oh, you like that, smiling. And he answered, I like that you're here. I like that you're here. Said it twice. First of all, right there, if I was in the press conference, I probably would have turned around and gave him a crazy look like, bro, you tripping. Anyway, so Clark answered, being professional, which I don't think we give her enough credit of being professional. Everybody want to bash her because, you got the race car, you got the Angel, and you got Caitlin, like they're going against each other, black, white, all of that. I don't even think it's like that, but she doesn't give enough credit for being professional. Either or. So she answers back, yeah, I do that to my family after every game. So, so it's pretty cool, right? This joker answers back, well, you start doing it to me and we'll get along just fine. Bruh. Ninja. That's what I want to say, but come on, dog. What you doing? You I know you a grown man. You probably an old man. I don't know what the joker look like, but you're a grown man. And come on, man. You can't do that, dog. I mean, if that's how you feel, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, you like what you like, but you can't do that, bro. No, you can't. You making a bad name for everyone, man. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm glad I went in that press conference because I would have gave that joker a crazy look. I'm known for giving crazy looks, but I would have gave that joker a crazy look. But I can't believe he did that though. Like he out of pocket, out of line. But anyway, man, let's transition, man. I got to talk about this Jamal Murray and this situation with Jamal Murray. And so we all know if you were under a rock and you missed it, or you was working late and you just hadn't looked at any news and you watching the show now. So Jamal Murray, Denver Nuggets guard, he was frustrated because Minnesota put them clamps on the whole team. He couldn't do anything. I don't know if it's because of his injury or what, but actually it was because of the defense. They were like hounding him. It was embarrassing. But either or, he was getting frustrated because he felt like he wasn't getting the call. So while on the sideline, on the bench, he throws a towel at the ref. Now, the game's going on. The ref is on the baseline officiating. He throws the towel at the ref. It missed the ref. Then he goes on and throws a heating pad onto the court while play is going on. They don't stop it. I think it was like out of bounds or something like that after that. And they just got the heating pad and threw it away. The ref looked at him, whatever, right? He stayed in the game. Nothing happened to him, right? But yesterday it came out that he got fined $100,000 for doing this. Now, please let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think he should have been suspended or what have you? Like I said, you can comment and everything, but this is my issue, y'all. Yes, he should have been suspended. It's no way, because it's like, first of all, he was retaliating to the refs. But then, two, you put players in danger by throwing an object onto the court, right? I don't know why. What I mean, I know you upset, but come on, bro. You're a professional. Come on, man. So, of course, you say he gets suspended. Shout out to my guy Jay. I think my guy Jay is watching right now. But Jay even came out and said, he told me, he was like, this was when it happened. He was like, yo, if this was Draymond got suspended for, endangering someone. Why are we not holding him to the same accountability, right? I agree. But not only that, let's say he should have been suspended, but let's say he didn't get suspended. So I'll say this. When fans throw something onto the court, what happens to the fan? They point to the fan, right? He's out of there. I mean, kick him out. He only get 3 strikes. He's out of there, right? He's out. He's probably banned from coming back. I'm not saying we should ban anyone, but if we're throwing fans out that's throwing objects onto the court, why in the world are we throwing an NBA player who's playing in the game who just threw something onto the court that could have injured someone? Easily somebody could have stepped on it and slipped, and Lord knows what could have happened. Why? So if you don't suspend him, which he should have gotten suspended because he didn't get thrown out, he should have got thrown out. Now, that game was weird anyway. I mean, it did have a old school feel to it. Yeah, it did. But at the same time, we saw when Nuggets coach went on Malone, he ran out to the court and cussed the ref out. And the ref didn't do nothing but cuss him out back. Like they were going at it, which he should have got a tech at least, if not thrown out, for you to come onto the court and they have to hold you back. And it wasn't like he tried to get on the court and they pushed him back. No, he came onto the court all the way to the other side and start cussing him out. Nothing happened, right? They just let it happen. Ref, which in a way, when you think about it, I kind of appreciate it. I mean, in a sense, because the ref is like, look, we're not, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to just let them play. We're not going to let anything affect the game. Old school, they were calling it tough. Like they weren't calling touchy fouls. So, it was consistent. But again, I just thought that if he should have at least got kicked out that game. But he doesn't get kicked out and he doesn't get suspended. Can we say ratings? I don't know. I'm not going to say anything, but that's how I like ratings, y'all. I don't know. But anyway, let me stick with this series, though. Minnesota beat them like when your mother found that you stole, maybe $20 that she needed to pay a bill or something, or the church money, the money she's going to put in the offering. They beat the crap out of them, right? And it wasn't just the fact that they just outscored them and that was it. They were making everything. No, it was pure defense. Mind you, defensive player of the year who won it, Rudy Gobert, shout out to him, stayed away because he had a baby. And I'll probably get on that as far as Gilbert Arenas, but he tripping. But either or, and they put the clamps on. I mean, it was embarrassing. Like, they couldn't do anything. Denver couldn't do anything. I mean, And then now on top of that, you have Cat playing like we wanted him to play, like he's supposed to play. Cat is playing. You got the 6 man of the year is killing. You got what some people think the MVP, Anthony Edwards, was killing. And you got people coming from the bench playing defense like they should be starting. Yo, this team is very scary right now. Very scary. I'm not gonna hold y'all, as my guy Maceo say. Right now, I don't know who could beat them right now. I mean, many might say Boston, but they playing Cleveland. And then it's Boston. We know what they do every time they get to the conference finals or the finals. I just don't. But so my guy, shout out to my guy, let's talk about it, says, I believe they were out coached and there was no adjustment made. You're right. I mean, what adjustment could they make? I mean, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything. He says he thinks OKC could beat them. I don't know. Boston, stop it. No, I don't. I don't know. Boston probably might lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, like I said, they always do. But before I get to OKC, I'm gonna just say this. I do believe that this was the perfect matchup for Minnesota because Denver, they're methodical. They play young. I mean, they play smart. They play team ball. But when you have a young team that has everything, like I said before, they remind me of the '90s team, a '90s team where you got size, you got 3 men that's if they're not over 7 feet in today's game, it's basically like they're over 7 feet. You got 3 men that's basically over 7 feet. So you got size. You have defenders. You're the best defensive team. You got people coming from the bench who can defend and score. You have the veteran of Mike Conley. You have who people thinking that this guy's definitely a top 5 player now and might be, or in the future, be the face of the league and be the best player in the league, and Anthony Edwards. Then you still got Karl Anthony Towns who's playing out his mind. So at this point, this is why, yes, it's a great matchup for Minnesota. That's why I think that they're going to be able to beat Denver. Denver can come back, and I wouldn't doubt it if Denver come back and win game 3, but I can't see it. But still, like I said, so this is the perfect matchup. Now, if they play OKC, if OKC come out of the Dallas series and they play OKC, it's going to be a great matchup. It is, and OKC is a great defensive team. But again, I just don't see who's going to hold Chet. I mean, not Chet, but who's going to hold Ant. Yes, not too many people can hold my man Shai Gilgeous Alexander, but still. And honestly, OKC is they're pretty deep. You know what I'm saying? They got a bench as well, but I don't know, man. When you got 1 through 8 play defense like that, I just can't see it happening. Boston can bring them from the basket. Now the floor is open up, pulling for you. I'll say this, bro. I hear you. This is my thing though with Boston. And I'll go back to Boston since he brought him up. Jason Tatum, is he gonna fall in love with the 3? Because if you're Boston, if you're the opponent, you want him to hit his first 3-pointer because he's gonna live out there then. And that's the thing with Jason. He's gonna continue to stay out there. He has a skill set to punish inside, but he's not doing it. He won't do it. So will Kristaps be there? Porzingis, is he going to be playing? But the way he plays, I'd say this, but he kind of too soft for Minnesota. Again, they can guard from 1 through 8. The first 8 players come off the bench or on the team, starters and coming off the bench, all of them can guard. All of them are great defenders. all of them. So what do you expect? I mean, it's hard to see a team beating them right now. Now, right now, like I said, this might be that because they're playing Denver. This is, this matchup favors Minnesota. So maybe it could be that, but I'm just saying the way they're playing, man, it doesn't look good. It's pretty scary. Yes, Ant-Man is different. I agree. And I like your assessment because you're saying you're pulling from Minnesota. Even though you're mentioning teams that might be able to beat them, I like that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. And that's the only black coach, and Jason Kidd left. I don't understand what you mean by that. I think he's. Oh, you mean Jason Kidd is left? I mean, at this point, it don't matter. Black coach, young coach. Well, you got Cleveland's coach, but regardless, I mean, they're not beating Minnesota. I'm just telling you. What up, Vince? What up, bruh? So, also, again, I talked about how, like he stated, Ant-Man is a beast, and everybody feels like Ant-Man is the best player. But Ant-Man is, I'll say offensively, he's not the best player in the playoffs right now offensively. He hasn't been playing in this year's playoffs. And shout out to my guy Jay, like I said, because I know he don't like me talking about him. But some dude named Brunson, man, Jalen Brunson, this guy is averaging 36.6 points per game, 8.6 point assists per game, and nearly 5 rebounds. But he's been clutch. Probably the smallest man on the court. He's been going to the hole. You can't stop him. And I mean, let's be real. He's not great defensively. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I mean size or whatever, but he tries to play. He's drafting, but he tries to play defense. But still he plays within that system. But right now he has New York Knicks on all cylinders. And the funny thing is, as great as he is offensively, I don't even think he's the most important player. I mean, you could say that but the most important player right now is Josh Hart. Hart is like 6'5", grabbing every rebound that's in sight. I don't know how he's doing it. I don't know what he's doing to get it. I guess he's hustling, and then he'll come in and shoot some threes and get you some threes, whatever. But still, the Knicks, the difference between, so I look at Minnesota. Let's talk about coaches. I look at Minnesota. Minnesota really is a Tom Thibodeau type of team. Like Tom Thibodeau was salivating, like, man, if I could have that team, because they y'all grind, they y'all gonna play hard, they play defense, and then you got your 2 scorers, and 3 if you want to put Nas in there. You got your 3 scorers, and you got other guys that come in and get buckets as well. But your 3 main scorers is all you need. That's him. Hey, y'all play defense. I'll let my 2 top or 3 top scorers. I'm good. The only difference with the Knicks is you only. I mean, what I like about the Knicks, first of all, they're grimy, but one-on-one defense, one-on-one as far as defensively, they're not as good as Minnesota, of course. But collectively, they play great defense. Still not as good as Minnesota, but collectively, they play great, right? But then the one thing about Minnesota is everyone, you got about, so all 3 players that plays defense, even Cat played defense sometimes. He was reaching a lot last game, but he plays defense as well, right? But with Cat, and then Nas, who plays great defense. But they're all, I hate using the word two-way players. I hate that term. But they all can play both sides of the basketball, both sides of the court, right? With the Knicks, you just have that team. What I do like about them, you have that, they're a team where you have, okay, one night, DiVincenzo might come in and score like he did game 1 against against Indiana. But then tonight, you might see Hart get off, or Anunoby get off. But I like the fact that they everyone steps up when they need to step up. And that's why they've been good so far, and they're, to me, Indiana, I thought Indiana was going to be a problem, playing them as far as, and true enough, let's talk about that call. Knicks got bailed out, right, by that call. You don't call that call at the last minute. That's like calling PI on a DB on the last play. You don't make that call. I don't care how bad it was. Yeah, it was a foul. He leaned in, but you don't make that call with less than 15 seconds left on the clock. You can't make that call. The game's too important. Game's too important for that. So what up, Joe? But yeah, man, I can't, like I said, I know right now offensively, Brunson is the best player in the NBA playoffs right now. He's having the best playoff so far. As crazy as Ant Ben, Brunson is that dude. He's really that dude. So what I think is, because next week will probably be, well, it might be game 6, 7, but just in case, I think Minnesota's going to beat Denver. I know this sounds like weak when I say if Denver doesn't win game 3, it's a wrap. Of course, it's easy to say, but like they need to win game 3 for real. I think if they win game 3, Denver can make it a series. The one thing I do love about Minnesota is, like I said, as well as they're playing, but their mentality. Like Ant, at 22 years old, his mentality doesn't fit a 22-year-old kid. He kind of reminds me of LeBron, like his mentality. When LeBron was taking his team to the finals, like, just never seen anything like that, a young kid like that, right? But I think Minnesota mentally, that's why they'll be able to win game 3. But again, these are the champs we're talking about. Denver's the champ, so they can come back and win game 3. And if they do that, I think then the series goes to 6. I still think Minnesota wins because they can win on the road. But like I said, so my prediction, I still say it's going to be a sweep. Joe says Knicks have some bad injuries now, and Tibbs running them boys into the ground. Oh man, we're going to talk about that with Doc. When Doc comes on, we're going to ask the Doc about that too, because yeah, he's definitely doing that. But that's Tibbs. That's what he does. So that's why if Tibbs is coaching Minnesota, I wonder what would happen, because he's known for playing 6 guys, maybe 7, but normally 6 guys is going to run him to the ground. That's Tibbs. That's what he like to do. That's why Rose. Well, I can kick Tibbs in the stomach right now. I'm thinking about Derrick Rose. But anyway, Brunson makes a lot of key mistakes down the stretch. He does, but yet still he comes back and he makes up for it. So, like I said, and I got Indiana losing to the Knicks. I have OKC beating Dallas, and I have Boston beating, of course, Cleveland. I think Cleveland going to win, slip up and win 1 game, if not 2, just because that's Boston. I think OKC beats Dallas in 6, and I think the Knicks Indiana game series goes to 7, and I think Knicks win. So there you have it. Like I said, so it's going to be interesting, man. Like I said, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see if I'm right, as I've been right so far, but we'll see. But look, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Hey, this is Cam.
Hey, it's Chuck the Iceman Liddell.
This is Emmett Smith, and you're listening to 3 Point Conversion.
All right, we are back inside the 3 Point Conversion Sports Lounge, and we're going to keep it going with NBA, and I got to bring in my guy, man. This is not only, he's not only one of the hardest working guys I know and does a lot for the 3 Point Conversion, but he also is a friend. My guy, Mr. Kyle Nash.
What's going on, Contra? Glad to be in the building. And hey, listen, me go on record right here as well. I tried to tell you people, Joker, Smoker, Midnight Toker, whatever, Wolves in 6.
Hold on. Student of the game as well. I didn't say that. Gotta say that. Student of the game, man. So but anyway, man, how are you feeling?
Hey, listen, having a lot of fun. This is the first guesting I've done in a while talking NBA. I'm looking forward to it, man. Let's get into it.
All right, man. So I mentioned you covered the Orlando Magic, and with the Orlando Magic, they surprised a lot of people. Not me, but they surprised a lot of people, and we saw them grow up. And I think that's the key, just watching them grow up as it happened. It was just, you saw it. What were you most proud of about this team? I mean, yes, they won this amount of games, but you've covered them all season. What's the thing that you're most proud of when it comes to Orlando Magic?
Generally speaking, and by the way, don't look at the Game 7 box score to go with this statement. That's the reason why the commanding lead that they had, the half disappeared, is because the opposite of this happened. But if there are nights where Paolo or Franz didn't necessarily have it 100%, other guys are filling in. You might get 13 for Wendell Carter Jr. Jalen Suggs grew up in a way in being more than just a tough guy. I saw him bomb a 4-point play. Later, it was taken off the board. I have my own issues with that. But bomb a 4-point play over Donovan Mitchell, not everybody gets that going. Just that's something he did in Game 6, and just to see that they can get different things from everywhere, and that every time I'm talking to somebody who battled the Magic, the consistency is they're going to be a tough out and a physical out every time. Listen, here's the thing. The only problem, air quotes, I would say they have systemically is shooting there, Raph, right? Because what's the last big 3-pointer you can remember the Magic hitting, right? It's beating the Raptors in Game 1 with DJ Augustine. The last guy who could shoot like that was Terrence Ross, who's currently calling Magic games, okay? That's my point. They just need more shooting. I feel like they can get off the ground a little bit more. But yeah, it's the fact that they're that tenacious, that consistent, and they can get it from other places on occasion.
Yeah, and of course, I'm going to talk about Paolo, but I think what most people got to see, if they were watching NBA TV, I thought it was bogus.
I'm about to say, how many people got to see it, Raph? The disrespect on Orlando.
That was bogus. And then the fact that Game 7, it's Game 7 now. Game 7, they play at 1:00.
Well,
come on, like that's a 3:30 game. That's a 3:30 game. But 1:00?
At least I got on ABC at that point. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I was taking the flowers where they could be got. You know what I'm saying?
But the team, like I said, everybody knows Banchero, but these guys, Wagner, one in particular, but the Wagner brothers, man, see them do what they did. Can you speak on them and how important they were?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if you want a sample size outside of the playoffs, like you'll notice towards the end where the Magic fell out of the 4th seat, part of that was Franz Wagner was hurt in those last 5
Wagner, I'm sorry, I said Wagner. Well, go ahead.
It's very German. They've even had German press in the post game. It's cool. Anyways, but like and we really, if you didn't see it there, I said going into the playoffs, I think you and I even discussed this on the Student of the Game. Bing, that. It's kind of like the Bucks with Chris Middleton when they made their late playoff runs, before they won it the first time, right? They didn't quite get the finals, and then they made them. And the thing that was different was the performance of Chris Middleton. If he was on the back of a milk carton, they didn't do so hot. If he showed up, they ended up winning the finals. I said that Franz Wagner is that guy for this team. Look at Game 6. He did amazing. Paolo did amazing. They both had over 20. What you need for the Magic to win to guarantee a basketball win. 1 for 15 in Game 7, and they lost that lead. That's kind of the short answer, proof in the pudding. Like Franz Wagner is very important. I know this is a down shooting year for him, but this is a guy who, if you're looking to get a big 3 going on a team, to get them to make a big run, to go deep in the playoffs, Franz Wagner is guy number 2 behind Banchero.
And it was weird to see that his brother, I shouldn't say weird, but it was surprising to see his brother just ball out in the playoffs like he did.
Yeah, Mo will sneak up on you. I know you think European player, you think, to put it bluntly, like he's a white guy that none of them look natural. It's not like Jokic bad, unathletic, but when you think track star, you don't think the Wagners, and then here they come and they'll both shock you. Franz and Mo both. Mo in particular, he's pretty tough.
So let me ask you this real quick, just to go away from this. It just came out that Nikola Jokic won his third MVP award. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I let's be clear. The thing that kept Joel Embiid out of it was the injury. I don't think anybody's going to argue with that. Those that want to pound the table for Ant, I'm not mad at you, but I would also remind you how much help he's got. You said it excellently on your preamble previously. 8 deep with this group. And the rotation that they run. How can you be an MVP when you're 8 deep, whereas Jokic as a center is getting assist numbers, is getting scoring numbers, is getting triple doubles in a way that a big guy's not supposed to get, while a team that has no depth, like going back, like just look at why Minnesota's crushing them in the playoffs, right? What's Nikola Jokic not known for? Defense. Minnesota is, and they're 8 deep. What else is it that Denver's for? No depth. And Jamal Murray was missing how many games? That's why Jokic was my vote, and it would have been right behind Embiid, except, again, injury thing, But listen, if you got SJA, if you got Brunson, my question is, why didn't Paolo get at least one vote? Why aren't we having that conversation?
Right. I thought Shea honestly should have gotten it, just because now his team is deep, but still no one saw OKC taking this leap.
Like number one seeded.
Right.
As a case. No, you're not wrong. Again, not mad at that either. Hell, some people that are coming at me with Luka is like, you provided an environment where Kyrie's deciding to be not crazy and play for the first time in a while. That deserves its prop. Listen, the MVP conversation, even though that rules come in about the 75% of games or whatever thing come in, even though that's there, the depth for the MVP was insane this season. It's a lot more fun to talk about it, and well, a lot less opportunity for the national media to have bad narratives. But that's a whole other question.
Right. So let's get back to Banchero. Do you think, is it Banchero or Banchero? Is Banchero?
Banchero.
Okay. I was saying Banchero, but I feel like I'm like, am I saying that wrong? But either or,
it's Paolo, I don't blame you.
Paolo Banchero, he stepped up this year.
Yeah.
And we saw it. In which is year 2, we expected. But
do you expect a year 2 man to make an all-star game in a small market? I don't.
No, you're right. And I was going to say, but do you think that he's been overlooked? And it could be small market, or just the fact that what he's doing is it being overlooked? How much of a jump he's taken and how he led this team. He was a leader, the all-stars and everything else, even leadership. And you're there. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think overlooked is a good word. I would liken it to, gosh, I don't know. The only immediate example I could kind of think of off the bat might be like a Trae Young, or even doing some old school like a Dominique Wilkins, a guy that's a big deal in a mid-tier kind of NBA franchise, a guy who's doing a lot. But the difference, I think, between let's say like a Neek and a Banchero is that, to your point, Banchero is getting more value out of the dudes around him. Do we know if Franz Wagner can be a number 2 at another franchise? I don't know. And listen, let's give Jamal Murray some credit, a guy who should, in my opinion, and you call me Homer if you want, and the fact that OKC's coach won it, I'm not mad at it, but I feel like Jamal Mosley got very overlooked. I mean, dealing with the injury situation such that it was, again, Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac and that whole situation holding his franchise back the way it has. And getting your top guy is a sophomore in the NBA, and you did this. You had this team believing in media day and preseason that they were going to be a playoff team. And by the way, I lost count. I had a number at once. I done lost my notes, and I forgot to bring it in here too. But how many guys had their first playoff berth this year? Right? This is how young that team is. And I'll tell you, with the way that the East is kind of molding, evolving, and changing, it depends on how much belief you have in certain players and what you think they may or may not do in the offseason. But I think the Knicks, as fun as they are to watch right now, and this is no disrespect to Brunson, I don't know that they got enough to lift him up to be a threat. Boston's Boston. They'll be there next year. I'm confident in that regard, with health being a thing. Can we find Philly to be relevant health-wise at this point? I don't. There's drama in Miami. Can Jimmy Butler be healthy consistently at this point? I don't think so. He's getting up there in age and asked to lift entire mountains, entire seasons. It's a lot to ask a dude to do. The Cavs are talking about moving Donovan Mitchell because they're frustrated with where they're at. The only team I feel like that's truly on an uptick in a weakened East is the Orlando Magic.
Yeah. And I think the fact that even in game, even in the playoffs, you didn't really get anything from Cole Anthony, who's usually the guy that comes in and sparks a team, instant offense, and you didn't get anything from them. What do you think the biggest takeaway from this playoff that they should be able to learn from, and then it goes well with them and they'll be able to advance next year and further on?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And Cole's box score may not have been. See, you got me calling him first name. That's how much of a lifeblood he is. He's a heartbeat to this organization. Right. So even when he's not on the floor, he's making a difference. We can't underplay that. But though box score may not be super impressive, he had a couple big buckets in Game 6 to kind of make the difference there and prevent big runs. Listen, Donovan Mitchell is good at basketball, and in the post game, somebody asked him why he wasn't shooting as many threes. It's because he said, I'm not hitting them, so I figure I should get twos. And he got 50 points in Game 6, for goodness sake. So, still pretty good at basketball, Raphael Haynes. That's all I'm saying. But let me bring it back to Anthony. He had key buckets, and he's still going to be asked to be the sixth man. I don't think that is changing. I think what the Magic learned is how they may be able to continue to develop Jalen Suggs as kind of that number 3 to kind of create a big 3. And then they're in a unique position with Banchero's salary situation being that it is as an NBA sophomore. They can bring in a veteran guy, pay him like a big 3 type, even though he's not, necessarily one of the primary 3 guys, to come in and put some dang 3-point shots in the basket at volume. That's what I think. That's the lesson I think they have. I think they learned they got their core guys, their core 3 and Suggs, Wagner, and Banchero, and they need to bring in somebody else to bomb in some shots.
Do you think they're missing anything as far as player-wise, or what is it?
It's the shooting, man. That's what they need to find. And I saw in the comment there about them, learn how to win. Game 6 was an elimination game in front of their home court, and Cleveland could have very easily come in and dominated again. Again, they had a guy on the other side that put up 50 points, and they still staved off an elimination and forced a Game 7. I think that is signs of that killer instinct and learning how to win. One guy struggled mightily, and unfortunately it was Franz Wagner in Game 7. But if you look over the series and over the course of the season, closeouts came from both Banchero and Franz Wagner late in the game. Just this time, Donovan Mitchell's a force, dude. I've liked that. I've liked him since he was still playing out west.
Yeah. And it's good to see him finally. I mean, he's made the second round before. I think that's when they played Denver in bubble. It's still good to see him get there and, shine like he has, especially when you're in Utah and nobody's watching Utah. I mean, only reason why a lot of people knew who he was because of the bubble. There was nothing else to watch. And so we were forced to watch him. I knew who he was, but
50-point games back in that series with him.
Right. Him and Jamal Murray going at it. Yeah. So just to close, what do you see? What do you see in the future of the Orlando Magic that's happening next year?
Yeah. That's a lot to calculate. And I just had Philip Brossman Reich of Locked On Magic on and recorded him. So at 9:00, when you check out the student of the game, you can see that conversation more fully. But I know that the cool thing out there is to pursue Paul George. I don't think they're in a position to give a guy of that age a high contract. And they're going to be trying to bid against Philly, who's going to be desperate to get something to win now while they still have Embiid to where he could at least stand on 2 legs on occasion. And as we've seen, that capacity is lessening. The curse of the big man, trying to have an elongated career. It's medical science working against you at that point. You know what I'm saying? But I think the goal is going to be getting that shooter. I've heard all sorts of theories out there from Klay Thompson. I don't think that's the right answer. I mentioned earlier, Paul George. For me, what I think they're going to address is probably going to involve the movement of either Jonathan Isaac or Wendell Carter Jr. to bring in a guard and then draft another man of size.
Right.
And which, all the other big guys there, their bigs kind of played above expectation too. Even going down to Koga Pataze made a difference at times during the regular season. Who had that on the bingo card, right? Right. So I kind of think that's how that's going to flow.
Well, all right, man. Well, look, we appreciate you coming on. Like I said, it was I can't wait to see what happens.
Real quick, only because my dude Cortland mentioned something in the comments. I got to give him his love. I don't think Trae Young is the answer. He's not a fit. He's too ball-centric a guy, and the Magic as a philosophy are too amorphous, too collective. The offense involves way too much sharing, whereas Trae Young's kind of a guy that has to have the ball. I'm not saying Russell Westbrook bad, but that ilk is not going to fit with his squad.
Well, we definitely appreciate you. And, we got to have you come back. We're going to have you come back. We're going to talk about the Jaguars. Cover the Jaguars for the 3-point conversion. So we definitely got to come back and do that. And, hey, man, much success, man.
Hey, likewise, bro. Listen, we worked together for a long time. We buddies, we friends, we fam. But at the end of the day, my exit still is this. You have your entrance with Did You Miss Me? I got to drop my exit and say, class dismissed.
Yes, sir. Well, all right, we appreciate it. All right, you all, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
What's good, everybody? This is K Boogie here with your food for positive thoughts on the 3-point conversion with our boy, Mr. Controversy. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel for the 3-point conversion. I have something to confess. I have fear. I have fear of success. And the reason why I have fear of success is because I'm a people pleaser and because I don't want to deal with the responsibility that comes with success. So I'm being transparent about the fears that I have in being successful. So what I do, I derail my own success and I deny my own success. And I sabotage it as well. Does this sound like you? Does this sound like something that you're doing? You have to face those fears. You have to face them head on. Because if you don't face them head on, you're going to continue to sabotage, deny, and derail your destiny and what success God has planned for you. Don't do that to yourself. Don't sabotage yourself. Don't derail yourself. You deserve so much more. And because you deserve so much more, man, you got to face those fears. Remember, God has equipped us. So we got to get this. And we can get this because he's with us and he's equipped us. So, have a great one. I'll see you next week. Peace.
All right, we're back inside the 3-point conversion sports lounge. We got to thank K Boogie for that, man. And before we get to the next segment, it is time for the most infamous, the most famous Stop It segment. Let's get it. So, my Stop It moment. I think I got two, y'all. Honestly, the first Stop It is, hold on, let me pull it up, y'all, because okay. So this goes to, so of course Chicago Bears. Last year the Chicago Bears, we made a trade to the Pittsburgh Steelers and we got Chase Claypool. He didn't do anything, nothing. It wasn't great. He went to Miami. He didn't do anything, whatever. So this joker comes on, he got picked by Buffalo, right? Chase says that I know I'm a top 3 receiver. Let me say that one more time, y'all. Yeah, I know y'all like, what? He said Chase Claypool now said, I am a top 3 receiver. When I saw it, I didn't know if he was talking about flag football or he was talking about and when he played on his team in college. I don't know. But if he's talking NFL, bro, you gotta
Stop it.
Yeah,
Stop it.
gotta get that stop for
Stop
that,
it.
man. Come on, Chase, what you talking about, dog? Come on, bro. Really? I don't know, man. Then my last stop it goes to Draymond Green. Draymond came out and said, I mean, I get it, but still. So we saw Draymond, we saw what happened with your boy, I can't think of his name. I'm looking dead at him too. God, I can't think. Milwaukee Bucks guard. I can't think of his name. Anyway, number 21, guy from the shop. But you saw what he did to the reporter. I don't know. I can't think of his name. Patrick Beverly. So Patrick Beverly, he shunned the ESPN reporter, and he was like, "Yo, I can't." He said, when she asked questions, he was like, "Do you follow my podcast?" She was like, "No," and he was like, "All right, well, I can't take no question for you." And then he proceeded, as someone else asked questions. She had a mic there, and he moved the mic away. Then he told her, "Hey, can you please get out the circle? I don't want you on here." Horrible, right? This joker, Draymond Green, came and said, Patrick Beverly can't keep having these moments after losses. I'm gonna say it again. He said he can't keep having these moments after losses, which is true. But this is why you get to stop it, bruh.
Stop it.
Because you've been kicked out of games, 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years. Ninja, you need to stop having these moments. But dog, you can't really come on here and be talking about you got to keep doing this or you can't. Bro, you're not in the position to say that right now, Draymond. So I'm gonna give you one more, bro.
Stop
You gotta
Stop it.
yes. So but that concludes my stop it. If y'all have a stop it, y'all know how it is, man. Y'all put it in the chat and we'll put it up. But without further ado, we gotta bring in someone as a new guest. But she's not new to everyone else, man. She is doing a thing. She knows football. She knows her stuff. I put her against anyone in the game right now, whether it's in show business, media wise, whatever. No one can touch her. I'm serious. Y'all about to find out soon. It's going to happen. She's make sure you follow her, all 32 NFL. And also she covers the Washington Commanders for the 3-point conversion. Miss Arabia Tillery. What's going on, Arabia?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. And if y'all confused, no, she's not in Australia or anything like that. That's just Arabia. She's gonna say good morning. It could be at nighttime. It could be
Hey, I mean, it's morning somewhere. You just got to keep it fresh.
that's what she
Gotta
always
keep it fresh.
Anyway, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm fantastic. I'm excellent. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So I want to jump right into it. We're gonna talk about the Commanders, and of course, we all know that Washington took, with their number 2 overall pick, Jayden Daniels, which is, everybody's excited about and wants to see what's happening. But I want to see what he's going to do, I should say. But I want to ask you, what other draft pick or picks do you see that the Commanders made? Do you see making an early impact for the Commanders next year?
So let me just start by saying this and preface the conversation with an obvious, which is you never know how any of these guys are going to translate, right? And sometimes if you don't say that, people make assumptions. So I got to say it. You never know who's going to translate. It could be we don't have them, but a 4th round pick, right? Like it could be someone from a late round who ends up coming in and balling out early. So with that being said, I'll say Johnny Newton, our 2nd round pick, our first 2nd round pick of that round. And the reason why I say that is because barring this injury that he had, I think he was always pretty efficient. He's a high second round pick for a reason. That's still pretty early. He was projected to go pretty early. I think if his injury doesn't really affect him, that he could be a very early force on this team. He'll be on the defensive line with Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. So as a defensive tackle, I think he'll certainly be insulated with some veteran help. I didn't expect us or necessarily want us to go defense with that second round pick, but we did, and here we are. So I'll say Johnny Newton.
Yeah, and like you said, it's you get a lot of picks that you expect, all right, they're early and what they're going to do, and they don't pan out at first. I mean, that happens, but like you said, you got the third rounders or somebody who can just jump in that you don't expect all of the time. And saying that, with Cliff Kingsbury being there, and you do have Jayden Daniels, do you think not only does he help Jayden, into the future and lead him to where he needs to get to, but do you think he resurrects this offense?
So I think the two go hand in hand. If Jayden Daniels ends up being a success, I don't see him being a success now or in the future without the offense also being successful, right? Just by nature of the quarterback position. If your quarterback is performing well for the most part, then your offense, especially from where the Commanders are starting from, our starting point is pretty low. So if Jayden Daniels is coming in and being efficient, then our offense surely will also elevate. That's number one. Number two, I enjoy Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator, more than I enjoy Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach. So my confidence in his ability as a coordinator is pretty high. I think him and Jayden can have a great marriage. I can see that working out. And there certainly are other pieces of that offense that could work between the acquisition of Austin Eckler from the Chargers, being a 1-2 punch with B-Rob, Brian Robinson Jr., who will be our RB1. We have a new tight end that we got in the draft. We already have Terry McLaurin, who is a fantastic veteran. Hopefully we can get him a solidified, stable quarterback. There's certainly pieces that we have that could be around Jayden Daniels and that Cliff Kingsbury can work to get that offense to elevate for sure.
So you mentioned B-Rob, Brian Robinson, the RB1. So how will they use Eckler then if they're going to use B-Rob? Which I understand because, especially you think about a Dan Quinn team, you think about the Atlanta Falcons, how he had the two backs and he had the bruiser. He liked I can't think of his name, number 24, but you had that running back and he was more of the bruiser. You know what I'm saying? But that's Dan Quinn. He's going to have two running backs. You're going to run the ball. It's going to be, you're going to have the lightning. You're going to have thunder. So where does Eckler fit into this offense?
Yeah, you're talking about Antonio Gibson. Of course, he went to the Patriots, right? So two totally different types of quarterbacks, right? B-Rob being RB1, Austin Eckler being RB2. One can catch out the backfield, and one will probably be more of like a yards, probably get more yardage and breakthrough tackles. So I would like to see a bit of 21 personnel, 22, just a little bit of them both coming out at the same time. Not exactly sure what the scheme would be, but I can see them maybe one fighting at a 3rd and 4th or a 4th and 1 kind of situation where you have him come in and bully his way a couple yards for us so we can get a first down versus one who might, we'll start the game off with a couple rushes and just get the offense going on a good pace and maybe slow the clock down with somebody who's reliable. So I think as we see how they fit on this offense, we'll get a good idea of how they're going to use them.
So I have to ask you then, if you mentioned the D tackle, you mentioned what Washington has on offense. It looks good. You have new management, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, of course, new quarterback. What would you consider a success for the Commanders? Just at the least, not of course we know Super Bowl, but at the least, what would be called? Or what would it take, or what would you think would be a success for this team at the least?
Yeah, that's a good question because different teams define success differently, right? Everybody has a different starting point. So success for the Commanders is going to look way different than success for the Lions next season. I mean, it's just going to be a different expectation. For me, we had the worst defense in the league last season, which surprised me because the season before that, we had a top 3 defense. So let me see if you took Johnny Newton as a second round pick. Let me see him contributing or in some way the defense being better. We traded away Montez Sweat. We traded away Chase Young. Let me see a return on that investment. What did we trade them away for? I want to see my defense actually perform and get a lot better. I would like to see my quarterback. I don't mind growing pains. Quarterbacks historically do pretty terribly in their debut game. So I'm expecting a loss week 1. I mean, there are a few exceptions. In 2012, there were 5 quarterbacks drafted. Of those 5 quarterbacks drafted, only one, RG3, won their debut game. And then in 2021, another 5 were drafted. The only one who won that game was Trey Lance, I think. Generally, I think rookies in their debut games are 47 and 100 on wins and losses in their debut game. So if they come out the gate with a loss, I'm not counting that as a microcosm of the entire season. So I just want to see good skeletons. I want to see there be a plan. If the execution of the plan isn't perfect, that's fine. We'll work out the kinks. But let me see that Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury are on the same page. Let me see that they're trying to use our players in an efficient way. Last season, Eric Bieniemy tried to pass us to death. We lived and we died by Sam Howell. It wasn't a good plan. I get what he was trying to do. He was gambling with house money. He tried to implement a system in Washington that worked with the Chiefs, but it just didn't work out. So let me see something more efficient, something more balanced that works for the team and the players that are on the team. I'm not going to put it on wins and losses. I know that's what people want. They want me to put a wins and losses on success, but I'm not going to do that. Too many moving pieces. Let me just see that shit is making sense in Washington and that we can use that as a skeleton moving forward.
So let's go on into the division in itself. We saw the Cowboys, they won last year. They won the division last year. And I think in this division, you know better than me. I think it hasn't been a
repeat winner.
Yeah, repeat winner since what was it? 2000 or what?
Like 2000 long. It's been a long time. We have not had a repeat winner in a very long time.
Okay. So I know the Eagles, they loaded up. I mean, you get Saquon, which was big. Defensively, you add more personnel. But I want to ask, do you think the Cowboys running back situation, yeah, they looking kind of, but still, they still look good offensively. You get Diggs back defensively. Do you think that the Cowboys will be able to compete with the Eagles and even maybe win a division or have a chance to win a division?
I think that it's hard, just like we saw the Eagles last season, get 2 new coordinators. It's hard to kind of come out the gate and be super competitive always if you're dealing with new coordinators. You got to kind of get that together. And that's what the Eagles are dealing with, right? Like they're kind of having a new coaching situation. I think the Cowboys have a chance, sure. Do I think they'll be as competitive? Because I had them winning the division last season. I kind of called it in the offseason. Do I think they might be as competitive and strong as they were last season? Maybe not. They've been pretty quiet in the offseason from the legal tampering period into free agency, even in the draft. They kind of just been asleep a little bit, but I'm not going to use that against them. I'm not going to use that as the indication that they're going to be asleep during the regular season. They're kind of regular season warriors. That's what they're really fucking good at. They're really good at being good in the regular season. So I wouldn't be surprised. Now, you asked me about the postseason, I'll probably change my tune, but maybe, sure. Why not?
Well, Arabia, we definitely appreciate you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time. Of course, this won't be a only time back. I already know that. I mean, like I said, you're covering the team for the 3-point conversion now. So, but we appreciate you, man. And check her out. Now, is it at All 32 NFL?
That's right. At All 32 NFL. Mm-hmm.
And you can find her on Twitter or Instagram. Is there anywhere else they can find you?
I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. Good luck. Just scavenger hunting.
Okay, no problem. Well, we appreciate you, and you have a great day. All right.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll talk to you soon.
No problem. Thank you. All right, you all. We're gonna take another quick break, and we're gonna be right back. Got more football to talk about. We'll be right back.
My name is George Iceman Gervin.
This is Dylan Brooks. What's up? This is Vince Carter. You're listening to the 3-Point Conversion. Check it out.
All right, we are back inside the 3-point conversion sports lounge, and it's time to bring in another guest. And I'm going to call him out because he is overzealous. I don't know if I don't know. This guy's supposed to be here at 8:15. I'm glad he's here now because he's coming on perfect time. He always manages to do that for some reason. I don't know how he does it. He don't come when you want him to come. It's almost kind of, I mean, I guess we're supposed to be like Jesus, but he's always on time and always makes sense. But none other than the guy who writes for the 3-point conversion, but covering the Tennessee Titans, my man, Mr. Cortland Griffin. What's going on, Court?
What's going on, fam?
How you doing?
Man, I'm cooling it, man. It's storming here in Nashville, but we here.
Okay, no problem. Well, look, man, we need you to heat up because we need to know about the Titans, man. I mean, this is, I won't say a big year, but this is a year of, okay, let's see if this works. We got a plan. This is the first time where we kind of went away with what we were doing beforehand. For some reason it worked, but it didn't get us to where we wanted to get to. So basically it didn't work. But now you have a new coach.
Mm-hmm.
You have the GM has finally got a chance to say, okay, now let me put in what I want to build now, right? You move pieces around. You like I said, you got the new quarterback. But with this draft, let's start with the draft. How do you grade the draft, or how do you assess the draft that the Titans had?
I mean, if I had to give it a letter grade, I would give it a B+. I felt like they addressed needs. I felt like they had a game plan coming in, which if you look at a lot of teams, they kind of look at how the board falls and they go best player available, or some guys have different draft strategies. But if you listen to Rand Carthon, this draft, they knew the guys that they wanted. They knew the pocket that they wanted to stay in, the level of talent that they wanted to draft in this draft, and they stuck to their guns. I know that they got around 9 offers for the 38th overall pick, and they stuck and got Devondre Sweat, who is arguably, if not one of the top 2 interior defensive linemen in this draft, he's arguably the best. And they got him there. And if you look at the draft, after they drafted him, that's where the run of defensive tackle started. So, like I said, I think it was a B+. You got your starting left tackle of the future. You got a running mate for Jeffrey Simmons. You address the cornerback position. You address the linebacker position 2 times with James Williams, who's going to play linebacker instead of safety in the league. And then and then Cedric Gray from UNC. And then you got an edge rusher, developmental edge rusher with Jalen Harrell, and then Jaquan Jackson at the wide receiver position, and Jarvis Brownlee to kind of help with the secondary. That's a new look secondary this year. So overall, I mean, if you're a Titans fan, I think you should be excited about this.
Is there a draft pick? I mean, I know you went through all of it, but is there a draft pick that sticks out like a sore thumb that you say, this is the guy, whether it's the first overall pick or whoever, but is there one guy that you can say, this is the guy that you need to watch out for because of da 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 da?
Yeah, I think it's Cedric Gray. The Titans signed Kenneth Murray in the offseason after losing Azeez Al-Shire to the Houston Texans in free agency, and they needed linebackers. Kenneth Murray is a see-ball, go-get-ball guy, and then you needed that green dot guy, that kind of leader in the middle of the defense that can call the signals and be more of a coverage guy as well, do like more of a jack-of-all-trades linebacker. Cedric Gray does that at the UNC. He's not going to get a lot of shine because he's a 4th-round draft pick, but this is a guy who I personally had a 2nd-round grade on, and the fact that he was sitting there in the 4th round was kind of surprising. It's kind of shocking because it kind of makes you wonder, like, what did you see on tape? Was it something that they saw on tape? Was it a character issue? But, or was it just the depth of this draft and the offensive side of the ball? But if you look at this kid, I mean, he plays around 4'4", 4'5" at the linebacker position, sideline to sideline guy, had an excellent coverage grade. If I'm pretty sure some of the people that are tuning in have seen this on Twitter, but I put some stats up about the players, about the Titans draft class. This guy was one of the best pound for pound, he was one of the best coverage linebackers in all of college football last year. And then on top of that, he had a 79 plus PFF grade in run coverage or run defense. So this is a guy who can do it all, at the next level. So it's going to be interesting to see him, in the middle of this defense and the impact he can make behind one of the better defensive line fronts in the league as well.
So let's talk about Will Levis. He looked pretty promising. He came in and, especially the way he came in, people say, oh, there's no pressure on him. It was no pressure or whatever. You have people who's always got something to say, but I think overall he did pretty well considering the fact that they threw him in and, he looked comfortable. I say that. And not even as far as comfortable as far as I know what I'm doing, but comfortable as in just playing. Okay, if I mess up, I mess up. But he looked comfortable. He didn't look rattled or shaken. He looked like some stuff he didn't know, but you expect that. He's a rookie.
Right.
And he looked comfortable. I thought that was key. So you add pieces like Calvin Ridley. Now they just got Tyler Boyd. I don't know how Tennessee keep getting all these wide receivers. But anyway, but then you add a Tony Pollard.
Right.
With Will Levis at the helm, how good can this offense really be?
It's going to be. It's hard to say, right? Because if you look at what you saw last year, like you said, you saw the framework, right? You saw a guy who he just knows how to play the quarterback position. And there were some things that he had to fight through, right? Bad offensive line, dilapidated wide receiver core, running back position. You had a first year guy in Tajay Spears who wasn't getting much play time because he was playing behind Derrick Henry. So now you've improved your offensive line. Like you said, you've gotten Tyler Boyd, you've got D Hop, you add Calvin Ridley, you still have Tajay Spears, and you add Tony Pollard, and then you have Chigo Okonkwo and Josh and Wiley at the tight end position. I think this team goes as far as Will Levis takes them, right? And so I think that's going to be the answer here: is how good will Will Levis be, right? And I think you see a guy who comes into his own this year. Last year, like I said, you saw the kind of the tools there, right? The arm strength, ability to throw it accurately under pressure. He matured throughout the season. And so this year, he's now the QB1. He's comfortable. He doesn't have to learn behind a guy like Ryan Tannehill. He doesn't have to worry about, is he getting first team snaps? He's going to have chemistry. He's got the trust of the coaching staff. Brian Callahan, when he took the job, that was the first thing he talked about was what he thought Will Levis could be. Right. And so I think that's also what's going to change and kind of be a deciding factor for Will coming into this season, is he has the confidence of the head coach and his offensive coordinator. So if I had to put a number on it, I think you're looking at anywhere between 15 and 21. If I say that this is where they're ranked. I think the first year is going to be kind of, those first couple of weeks are going to be kind of choppy, right? Because you're still learning. It's still a young quarterback, new head coach, so they're going to go through some growing pains. But I think once they hit their stride, you'll see the true, what this offense can become. And I think going into 2025 is when you'll see them, really flourish.
So what do you know, or have you seen or learned in this little time? I mean, really haven't been exposed to Brian Callahan, but what do you know about this coach, and what do you see him bringing to the team, if you can, like I said, because I know it's been a short time, but
in the short, in the couple of interactions that I've had with him, specifically at the combine, he's a very straightforward coach. I know people are going to say, well, Mike Vrabel was a straightforward coach, right? But this is a different kind of straightforward. Mike Vrabel was a little bit more cryptic. He kind of was kind of cloak and dagger with Mike. With Brian, it's more, he's going to tell you how he feels, right? And he's not going to hold back. Now, he knows, of course, media. What's up, bro? He's gonna tell you how he feels, right? When we asked him about the offense and how he felt about Will Levis, he told us, like, I feel like this guy can be a great in this league. I feel like he has what it takes. I feel like he's the QB1. He's my starter coming again. I'm excited about working with him. So on and so forth. He's very even keel. You can tell he doesn't get too high, too low. And in a lot of ways, I think you're going to see that translate to this Titans team, right? You're going to see his attitude of don't get too high on your successes, don't get too low on your failures. And I think ultimately what he brings as a characteristic of his own is progressive innovation offensively. The Titans have historically been a run first team, right? Ground and pound, throw the, run to set up the throw or run to set up the pass, right? This is going to be a pass first offense. And so I think he's going to bring that future, modernized thinking thought process to this team and push us, or I should say them, into the future of what the modern day offense is going to look like.
So, this is the question I asked Arabia. This question I'm going to ask you:
Mhm.
What would you consider success at the least? I mean, like again, we know
Mhm.
teams want to go to Super Bowl, playoffs, whatever, but just at the very least, what would be considered success for the Titans this year?
Um, I don't think you're playing for a record at this point, right? You're in the second year of a rebuild. So record doesn't matter as much as the product that you're putting on the field. If you look at some of the teams that have rebuilt in the past, the Cincinnati Bengals, for example, people say, oh, they went from worst to first. But if you look at the season prior, they put a competitive product on the field.
Right.
They didn't win many games, but the product was competitive. You saw the framework of what that team could be, and people thought maybe they were 2 or 3 years away. And they, of course, ended up in the Super Bowl that following year. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen with Tennessee, but I think a successful season is being competitive in every game that you play. You might lose, you're going to lose some tough ones. It's the NFL. You're going to win some that you shouldn't win. You're going to lose some that you shouldn't lose. That is just the nature of the league. But I think if you're putting a team on the field and you're not getting blown out, right? You're competing all 4 quarters, every down, right? You're pushing teams to the limit. I think that's a successful season. You don't want to just go out there and kind of do what happened last year, which was kind of getting, just road shot just over and over and over again. And then you had some surprise wins in there. And then you get right back into the just teams running over you and just feeling like you're not competitive. And that changes a lot how teams play you, because if they feel like they can beat you or just feel like they can run over you, they're going to do that. And I think this year a successful season is getting back to that toughness that Tennessee, has been built on. And like I said, it's being a competitive product and then building on that to go into next year.
Well, all right. We definitely appreciate you, man. Well, you know what? I want to ask you this before I let you go.
Mhm.
I asked everyone else. So in your division, we know Houston has, man, they look
Mhm.
scary, but it's on paper. We don't know, the big acquisition they got with Diggs. Then they got the DN from Minnesota. I mean, they draft was on point, but do you look at Jacksonville? And I know right now you're rebuilding. I know that, but do you think Jacksonville and or Indy will they go ahead and compete, and even to the point maybe be running along with the Houston Texans?
Yeah, I mean, the AFC South is a wide open division now, right? I know people are going to say that Houston has it locked up, but if you look at every team in this division, they all got better. Houston, of course, added on to what they already had last year. Jacksonville is going to be healthy again. They added on to their defense, and their offenses should be better. And then Indianapolis has just been a juggernaut, right? They're just consistently good. And Shane Steichen put his, you saw what he was able to do with his team. They're going to get their starting quarterback back in Anthony Richardson this year. So I think all of these teams right now are neck and neck. I think Houston has the advantage because they won it last year. But I wouldn't be surprised if Indianapolis or Jacksonville overtakes the top spot.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. And I'm gonna just take a moment. I gotta say this. With everything that's going on in the NFL, your coverage and all that. But y'all don't know. This is like, you remember, and I mean, yeah, I'm even too grown to be like pause or whatever. But you remember how Dion used to be like when he see Heston, be like, "That's my baby. This is my baby brother right here." Y'all don't know. I'm so proud of this guy, man. But just the way he's taking on this role, and I mean, Cortland came from, he was gung ho, he was ready, and which I love. That to me, that was the thing that said, okay, yeah, I gotta have on my team. He was ready, he was never scared or what have you. But Cortland always listens. He's ready to learn. Um, he's gotten better at his craft. He takes it seriously. This joker on here now, like y'all make sure y'all follow him. Y'all see at the C Griffey on Twitter. This joker, his post averaging like 10,000 views a post. But man, I'm just so proud, man. Even with the man he's become with, wife, and having his wife come in and he, helping him. But again, man, I'm y'all just don't know. I'm proud of this dude, man. I used to always mess with him. I'm still messing with him because he's young. But I think now it's starting to be where the joke is. I'm getting old. Before I could joke about him because he was young, but it's just like, man, he's not wet behind the ears anymore. He's, bruh, I just gotta say, I'm so proud of you, Court. You know what I'm saying? I can almost shed a tear right now, y'all. But I'm so happy for you, man. Look, I done said this man almost disappeared because he's so happy. But yeah, y'all just don't know, man. For what I had to deal with, what I had to trust in him, and I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? But I trusted him, and he's always delivered, always been there, man. And so, much love. I always like to give, people, y'all call it flowers, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to give them their drink. You know what I'm saying? So, much love, Court, man. So we appreciate you. So, all right, y'all. This is the time where, you know what, y'all, I'm gonna do it. I gotta do it. But this is the time, this is the What's on My Mind segment, and this is where I like to, just talk about, just what's on my mind, man. Stuff that I don't understand or I don't get or I love, I like, whatever it is. Just let me holler at y'all, man. And this was on my mind, man. I got to get in the mood for it, y'all. So I'm just so Deshaun mentioned it in the chat talking about Gilbert Arenas. So y'all know the defensive player of the year of the NBA, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert missed game 2. The way Minnesota was playing, it almost seemed like he was playing too. Like, it's like them jokers had like 8 men on the court at one time, the whole game, defensively. Either or, Gobert missed game 2 because he went to go look at his baby was being born. I don't know if it was firstborn. I believe it was firstborn, but either or, he was going to, be with his wife. I believe that's his wife. Pretty sure it's his wife. And, be there to witness his first baby being born. Or whether it's the third, fifth baby. I don't know, But either or, Gilbert Arenas, no chill Gil. That's my guy. You know what I'm saying? I love talking to that guy. He's funny. He's going to tell the truth. And I think that's what we love about Gil. Even though sometimes they rather you tripping, but Gil going to say what he feel. That's just him. And Gil has children too. But this joker came out and said that basically Rudy was tripping, and the quote was, "It's just a baby. What is he gonna do? What can a baby do? Baby's gonna be there when you get there. What can you do for the baby?" Stop it. Come on, Gil. You tripping, dog. And that's my thing, bro. I mean, there's nothing more important in children nothing. Like, I'm even far to say, I could say that nothing. I mean, even your mama. Now, you know, you don't want nobody to talk about your mama, right? But still, these are your babies. You know what I'm saying? These are your babies. Your babies. And, bruh, nothing is more precious than your child. Then he being born, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, Gil, that kind of make me question, like, bro, how you, I mean, you know what? Okay, this, like I said, we tell the truth and shame the devil. And true, he said, what is the baby gonna do? He's like, which is funny to me. What is he gonna do? Yeah, the baby's a day old. Baby can't do anything. You really can't do anything for the baby. But again, there's nothing like being at the birth of your child. I know. But not only that, the fact that your wife, you got to be there for her. Now, you can say, yeah, her mother could be there. It's true. But still, this is an experience that you can't quantify. You can't get. Not with this child. Now, if you have another child, you might be able to get, but, you know, and then let's be real. It's the playoffs, and you would say, well, his wife should understand. Somebody didn't talk to Rudy too. Now it could have been just for the baby, but somebody didn't talk to Rudy too, because we all know that postpartum ain't no joke. And then that joker get home, and he like, oh, you know, she agreed, and next week, and then she tripping all of a sudden. You don't want to deal with that either. Now Minnesota mad because this joker having a bad game because his wife tripping and all. No, you can't do that. You got to factor in all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because she probably gonna be tripping with him being there. Period. I mean, this is how it goes. You got postpartum. I mean, I'm just saying, y'all. Gil tripping. Gil was tripping, y'all. I'm just saying. You know, but again, back to that's the baby, man. You're not missing that. I don't care what it is. The team gonna, and to me, the team understood. The team got it and was like, "Yo, we got you." And then you see what happened. We got you. We good. And you see how they responded. Gil, tripping dog. Come on, man. Like I said, so I know how it is. You got to deal with the baby. You got to deal with the fact that, you know, you want to be there for your wife. You want to show her, you know, it's the moment. And then you don't want your wife to be tripping. You don't. You know what I mean? You want to deal with that either? You playing. Yeah, I mean, I believe besides like, you know, God forbid, besides like death, somebody in your family or close one happened, and you didn't see where Muggs and played after a loved one died. We saw Isaiah Thomas do it. I've seen a lot of people do it. You know, with the football, baseball, basketball. That, you know, it's that safe haven. But if your lady or your wife tripping, nah, you gonna be discombobulated. Shoot, you can't even play cards knowing that you're gonna get in a fight or she tripping or whatever. You can't even play cards. You can't focus. I know. I've been there. Y'all have too. Y'all quiet right now, but y'all have too. Okay, cuz said she better have that baby at the arena. Cuz I'm okay. You say that? Wow. Okay. Look, I'm smart. I'm gonna be there for my baby, but then too, yeah, I ain't about to be dealing with that where she tripping or whatever. So I'm just being real. I'm like I said, I tell the truth and shame the devil. I don't want to deal with that. So I think he made the best choice for him. Forget what everybody else say, you know, and you know what I'm saying? They won. They won. They won. That's all I gotta say. They won. So, all right, y'all. That concludes What's on My Mind. We're gonna take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Have a sports injury? Need to see an orthopedic doctor? Ortho Atlanta is one of Metro Atlanta's largest orthopedic and sports medicine practices, providing orthopedic and sports medicine care for the whole family. With 37 physicians and 14 offices, the practice provides the highest level of care for injury of muscles, joints, bones, and spine. Ortho Atlanta offers convenient access to a full range of musculoskeletal surgeons and specialists. Ortho Atlanta also offers on-site physical therapy, pain management care, MRI imaging, and workers' compensation care. The Ortho Atlanta surgery centers in Austell and Fayetteville provide cost-effective, same-day surgical procedures in an accredited outpatient center. Hip, knee, shoulder, back pain? Ortho Atlanta has you covered with specialists in all areas. Same-day appointments, orthopedic care for the whole family. Ortho Atlanta, Atlanta's choice for orthopedic and sports medicine care. Learn more at www.orthoatlanta.com.
All right, we are back inside the 3-Point Conversion Sports Lounge, and it is time to bring in none other than Dr. Donnie Fowler III, orthopedic for Ortho Atlanta. What's going on, Doc?
What's up, Mr. Controversy? Thanks for having me back.
So I got to ask you, I know you just coming in. So I did my what's on my mind, and what was on my mind is what Gilbert Arenas was talking about as far as Rudy Gobert. He said Rudy Gobert was tripping. He was wrong. Like, he should have played as just a baby because, he had his, I think it was his firstborn, and he skipped game 2. He's like, it's a baby. The baby can't do anything. The baby can't. What is the baby going to do? What are you going to do for the baby? It's 1 day old. So I'm going to ask you, Doc, first of all, I'll just ask you straight up, would you miss, if you were in his shoes or you had, had to go to work or whatever, could you take off if you had a chance to take off? Would you take off, or would you? And I hope you answer right if the wife is right there, but what would you what would you do, Doc?
Well, first off, I was going to give a shout out for the love for the ACC track and field meet this weekend. Yeah. That message you guys posted as a former ACC track and field athlete, much respect. So yeah, go out and watch some fast people run fast, jump high this weekend. But no, the answer to your main question. And I think most people, once you've actually then become a dad, it hits different. Like, actually, I'm sure Gilbert Arenas has kids. I'm not sure what his marital, social baby daddy situation is. But I feel like once you have a kid, you don't get it until you have a kid. And once you do, it's kind of like one of the greatest things ever. So I am not going to knock any pro athlete missing a game for the birth of their first child, which is something you will never experience again. So, okay. But to your point, my wife was concerned that I was going to be doing surgery up until the birth of her daughter. And I was like, I'll get there. Don't worry. So
let me ask you this.
You got me? Sorry, I think we froze. You got me?
I heard you. Yeah, we heard you. So let me ask you this then. So I was saying, and I'm pretty sure she's probably going to nod her head with it. Well, I might get in trouble for this, but if you're a smart man, because she might say yes. She might say, oh, it's okay. Like, especially with basketball. You saving lives. You know what I'm saying? But still, either or, playing basketball, just being married and knowing what that can cause. She might be good that day, but you got postpartum, or it just might be, I'm not trying to even deal with none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, So anyway, I'm gonna leave it alone. But I'm with you, Doc. I'm gonna be there for the baby, you know. So I can deal with it.
No, I think they did the right thing. I mean, in Major League Baseball, there's actually you get paternity leave, so you get like I think it's at least 3 days is what you quote unquote get granted with no like penalty or fines. I don't know if any of the other leagues actually have paternity leave, but MLB has a paternity list as part of like injured, basically the injured reserve, but it doesn't count against injured reserve. So
okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So speaking of injury reserve, let's get on these injuries. He's not on injury reserve, but Jamal Murray, he's been limping. You'll see him limping at certain times. He hasn't played well. And we know he's been dealing with a calf injury. So how long is it just to the point where he just will have to just deal with this until, you know, until they get swept by Minnesota? I mean, until the rest of the playoffs, or do they have to, or will it get better?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna discount what you just said, and you probably hit on it earlier in the show. But I was figuring he was gonna get a free game of rest after
Right.
game two's antics. Just how that honestly could be really dangerous for a player if their foot caught on that a little bit more and slid out on him. But I mean, at this point, it's a playoff. So, yeah, I think he's going to grind it out. He's clearly not 100%. He's played poorly. And again, you don't want to make excuses, but I'm sure at least part of that is because of his mobility and the injury issue. But there's not really enough time to truly rest a calf injury at this point, unless somehow they turn it around and can win without him and like give him a couple weeks off. I don't see that happening. So at this point, at this juncture in the season, down 2-0, I think he's going to give the best that he has, and then obviously have the whole off season to recover.
So let's move on to Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is missing the rest of the playoffs with a stress injury to his left ankle. What does that mean as far as a stress injury?
So stress injury usually it's kind of like a stress. Some people say stress fracture. Some people say like edema, meaning fluid. Some people even say like a bone bruise. But essentially, it's the equivalent of a weakness or an injury in the bone that you can't always see visibly on an X-ray, which is where you can see most obvious fractures. But then you get a fancier MRI scan or a CAT scan, and it shows up on that. So you need a much more intricate study to visualize it, but it's a real thing. And I think it's more concerning in his situation because, unless I'm mistaken, I think it's the same ankle he already had surgery on in December. And then he had already re-injured that ankle. And so now this is kind of like the third injury on the same ankle. And so it's hard for me to know without seeing the images. Is it the same area that just hasn't fully healed, or has he caused a new fracture or stress injury, like where some of the screws are and the plate that they probably put in his ankle? But either way, it's not a good thing when you've already had surgery on that same body part.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. His teammate Josh Hart, the guard for Knicks, which has been playing outstanding, rebounding. He's only 6'4", 6'5", but best rebounder in the playoffs so far. He's had a wonderful showing for the Knicks, but he's played 48 minutes the entire game. Then he's played 52, then 45 in like consecutive games, and he continues to play 46. And like he's not getting no more than 2-3 minutes of rest probably. Could this come back and really haunt him, as far as, especially if they go deeper into the playoffs?
I mean, the whole load management thing, it's something that's always a discussion. I mean, I'd have to look back a little closer. I don't think Josh Hart's had too much of an injury history. I'm not talking, well, I don't want to throw anyone on the bus. I'm not saying any other names, at least tonight. But I mean, he's 29. I guess you'd call that maybe. Well, I mean, that's kind of on the older side in the NBA these days, even though you got guys out there in their mid to late 30s. But I mean, as long as he's doing the right thing in his recovery in between the games and he feels good and he's going to, again, have a whole off season, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. If we were talking about somebody else with an injury history that's had to miss games and do load management and only play like 50 games a year, yeah, I'd be more concerned. But I don't think that's Josh Hart. So honestly, I don't think I'd be too concerned about him right now.
Okay. And the reason why I say that is, and we talk about Tibbs, and sometimes like I said, I could kick Tibbs in the stomach because of what he did with Derrick Rose. Like I felt like that's what started it, especially in the. See, I'm getting it. The season when it was shut down, they were playing back games. Remember
in the bubble when it was.
Oh, before the bubble.
This before the. Oh, you mean even before that?
Yeah, when they had the lockout.
Oh, yeah. Got
and
it.
they had to, they were playing 3 games in a row, like constantly.
Yeah.
And because he's known for overplaying his team, but as you said, he's quite young. If he doesn't have injury history, that's good. So that's good to know. And then last but not least, what was weird, we saw catcher Will Contreras, he's on a 10-day IL with a fractured wrist after getting hit by a bat after like a follow through. The player, I don't know if he missed it or foul tipped it, I can't remember, but I know the follow through came and hit Contreras in the wrist. They say 10-day. That doesn't make sense. I don't know if they just have to put that in the beginning, but how long should he really be out, or will he really be out?
Yeah. So, well, a couple of things. I mean, they're saying probably 6 weeks minimum, which is probably average time frame for a fracture. But if you actually watch the play, it actually wasn't the follow through. It was the initial swing, like him coming through, and he hit him. And you never want to see someone injured or throw the blame. And I don't want to be counted as biased since it was a Mets player whose team I work for that hit him. But it was because he had his glove obviously set up too close to the swing. And apparently a lot of catchers are kind of towing that line more and more because the closer they get to the batter, the better they can frame like a low pitch before it gets even lower, the further it gets behind the plate. So they're trying to hug that batter swing as close as they can just to get more strikes. And then that's kind of the risks that you take. So, I mean, the Mets player actually got awarded first base because it was Contreras' fault, but it's still a kind of a terrible thing. But yeah, the bat, this wasn't like a little deflection or whatever. Like literally the bat hit like straight into his forearm and wrist. And you hate to see that, but I would say he's probably out at least 6 weeks, which is a big blow for the Cardinals.
But Doc, before we get you out of here, I know this wasn't on the agenda, but I want to ask you, the LA Dodgers right now doesn't look like it's fair. They don't. I mean, from last night, they have 3 players hitting over, I think, 340, maybe 350. With Betts, Ohtani, and who's the third one? I forgot the third one. But either or,
it's Freeman or somebody else, but
somebody else. I don't think it's Freeman, but either or. Is it theirs to win? Do you think? And then Kershaw still hadn't pitched yet, and I know he's older, but
yeah, I don't know if I would say that. I mean, I feel like the last 4 or 5 years, it's always been, well, it's the Dodgers, and at least in the NL, and then the Braves, and outside of that, at least in the NL, there's been nobody else that has even, I think, gathered any kind of at least consideration going into the season. But the Astros, I think, finally may have fallen off from their kind of dominance in the AL. It looks like the Yankees are truly back with the money they spent and adding Juan Soto. So I don't know if I'm going to declare it, the Dodgers because anything can happen, but it's hard not to say that they're the favorites. But again, I wouldn't shock me if the Braves, Yankees, a couple of those other teams are going to end up challenging them when the playoffs come around. Because if you get it like two guys, like two good starting pitchers that are going to end up possibly winning you 4 of the games, you can win off that. So yeah, they're a juggernaut. It's that whole debate about the MLB doesn't have a salary cap, and there's those big market teams in LA and New York are always going to have that advantage. So
do you think that, because you mentioned pitching, and I think last year with the Braves, their bats cooled off at the wrong time, which can happen to any team. It can happen to Dodgers or whatever, but do you think that to beat LA, is it going to take more than just great pitching?
I mean, the bats have to be serviceable, but I almost still feel like pitching it's a two-way street, but I still think pitching is probably more important, or having those true aces who can dominate 6-7 innings of a game is probably the most important thing to have for a deep playoff run.
All right, Doc, we definitely appreciate you, man. And we'll see you next week. And
always a pleasure.
Tell the family I said hello.
I will. Have a good one.
All right, you too. All right, you all. Before we end the show, man, I appreciate everyone who listen or watch live and who's going to watch as a podcast. I definitely appreciate it. And again, man, I don't take it lightly. It's a blessing to do this. I'm glad I'm back. But you all know, if you hear this music, you already know what it means. It means it is time to let you go. Before we let you go, we have a couple of shout outs. So stay tuned, because you might be one of them. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the Almighty God. Give me this platform to do what I do, say what I say, make you all happy, upset, mad, want to give me the stop it button. God, I appreciate it. I want to thank my guests. I want to thank first Doc. Doc, not even a guest, bro. You part of the show. You hear every week. But I got to thank you. Start off, thank you, Doc. Much love, man. Also, I want to thank Ladies First, Miss Arabia Tillery, for coming on, making her debut on the 3-Point Conversion Sports Lounge, but it's going to be her last. Also, I want to thank my man Kyle Nash, student of the game, class dismissed. My guy, appreciate you for coming on, bruh. Also, I got to thank my guy, baby bruh, Cortland Griffin. You already know I'm proud of you, man. Appreciate you, man. Then I want to thank everybody who was on the, who watched the show live, man. Especially, here on the station. I got to thank my guy, Jay. I know Jay didn't say anything, but I thank Jay. I got to thank Deshaun Tate for coming on. Cortland Griffin was in there. My guy, Jay Mack. McQuella, cuz, I appreciate you. Also, let's talk about it. My guy, Vincent. Joe Cardozo. Shout out to them. And MBS crew. I want to thank my family. I want to thank my lovely wife. I want to thank my children. I want to thank my brothers and sisters. I want to thank grandma and them. I want to thank my play cousins. I want to thank nieces, nephews, uncles, aunties. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Hey, man, love on family. Let family know that you love them. Love them while they can still feel it. Love them while they're still alive. Until next week, eat good, drink responsibly, watch some sports. You got the playoffs, you got NHL playoffs, you got NBA playoffs, MLB is kicking off. You got volleyball, Bob, Atlanta Vibe. Shout out to the Vibe. I don't cover them, but too far. But shout out to them. Shout out to the you got WNBA preseason. And man, you got a lot going on, man. And until next week, same time, same show, same crazy host, same sports nonsense. When you miss me, I'm out. Peace. I thought I was finished.